It is time to update you on where I'm at with the dual rule project that me and Matilda are writing on. Matilda is also doing an update video and that will be linked down below. If you don't know what this project is, then it is a project that me and Matilda, my wife, plotted during live streams in March and in February and March this year, 2021, with the help of our wonderful audience. We are co-writing it, and every month we do an update video, which is this, and a check-in stream to tell you guys how things are going and to get your help to solve certain problems that we might run into. The next such stream is on Saturday at noon UTC on Matilda's channel, and that is also going to be linked down below. So are those live streams, other live streams, previous update videos, and a lot of other things that you might need if you want to know more about what this is. Let's start with what has changed or been discovered since last time. During the live stream last month, we came up with a subplot including a lost city that Lid and Niam, our characters, are going to discover in this book. We're not yet there in the story, but I have included some references to it. I have named the city Shardmere, which I run by Matilda, and she agrees with it, which is good because I have a whole thing that revolves around that name. Basically, the city was lost centuries ago when one of the rulers at the time wanted to kill the other ruler and erase them from history and just make sure that they and their own descendants had all of the power from now on. So they sunk the city into the sea and killed the other ruler that was in there at the time, and then they sort of rewrote history so that no one would ever know that there was supposed to be two rulers. Since then, that ruler's descendants and or a shady organization of religious leaders and politicians and nobles and whatnot have been systematically killing the person, the commoner, who wakes up with power at the same time as the royal heir every generation, because they want the royal heir to be the only one in power. Now, sometime between the destruction of Shardmere and the time when our story takes place, there was a commoner heir that survived, managed to go through this quest and gain all of the magical powers that sort of marks the ruler of this land, the rulers of this land. We don't know exactly what happened there, although we are thinking of writing that prequel, so we're going to have to figure it out. But what we do know is that the story at this time, in Lid's and Niam's time, is that this person was evil and somehow managed to trick the gods into granting them these powers, and then they were killed by the righteous rulers because they were trying to usurp the throne. The thing I've added now that I've written a little bit about in my part is that, according to legend, this person had a powerful weapon, which was basically what granted them these powers. And it is called, in the legends, the Lost Shard, and is thought to be, a shard of something magical, like, I don't know, a star or something, I don't know. It's just called that, but it is a distorted reference to the city of Shardmere. It's also important to note that Shardmere, the city, is not known anymore. There is potentially a legend of a lost city, but the name doesn't exist in any stories. So that's why no one has really made this connection until the person that wrote a book that Niam reads that is found in an archive. So this is just a really fun thing. It's not super important for the story as such. Well, it is, but not the thing about Shardmere and the Lost Shard and that whole thing. That's just a little detail that is the kind of a thing that I like. I like the how stories get distorted over time, and what we think it means now is not at all what it meant. What actually happened and all of that. I just think that's a lot of fun, and I like that I came up with something like that. Another thing that has changed is that we're thinking of changing the outline a little bit. Not really a huge thing, but I was writing and I looked at the timeline and I saw that it took Niam way too long to get to the electricity trial, and from the electricity trial to the water trial. It took him over a week to get from electricity to water, and it just didn't make sense because he has a dragon. He can fly. He can't fly, but the dragon can fly and it can carry him, and it shouldn't take him that long. So the idea that I had originally then was that maybe Niam should do the electricity trial before Lid and then show up at the water trial before Lid as well, which wouldn't have been a huge change. But then I looked at it a little further and I figured that maybe they should meet up at the electricity trial instead of the water trial, which is a bigger change, not so much for me because I have only written up until the electricity trial, but it's a big change for Matilda because she's written a fair bit after that. But I do have my reasons, apart from the fact that I don't understand why it takes Niam so long to get between the places. I do have some justifications for this idea. First one being that it would give them time to get to know each other and bond before the water trial and before they're forced apart again after that trial, because they wouldn't have had a lot of time to do that in the previous version, and they need to have reasons to trust each other before then. So I think that just if they meet a little earlier, then they will have had more time to gain some trust. Second thing is that this would potentially make it easier to just write one of the electricity trials, because we've said before that we don't need to put all of the trials on page, and I think that is especially true of the electricity trial because they do exactly the same thing. They now do it, they weren't meant to do it so close in time to each other, but now they do it almost at the same time. They do exactly the same thing, they have exactly the same powers to work with, and I just don't think we need two of them on the page, and I'm thinking that if they meet up here, then we have something interesting apart from the trial that happens. I don't know if I'm explaining this very well, but the point is that I feel like this way, for example, we could do Lid doing the trial and having that described there, and then Niam can have just done the trial or something, but but something exciting still happens in his chapter because they meet. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, that was what I was thinking anyway. The third reason is simply that the story is getting kind of long. My part is just under 50,000 words, Matilda's part is just over 80,000, and this is just the first part of the book. We've talked a little bit about maybe turning it into 2 books, but still, I feel like at this point, everything that sort of needs to happen before they meet has happened, almost at least, and what hasn't can be moved around. And I just think it would speed things up a little bit, in a good way. I think that it would be nice to get a little bit faster to the water trial and the sort of revelations and the changes and the shifts that happen there. And like I said, Matilda has written a fair few things that won't be in the story if we do this, which I do think we have decided that we are going to do this because it makes sense. Matilda agrees with that too. So she's just going to have to move some things around. But we want to talk this through on Saturday with you guys because we might not have thought far enough. It might not make sense. And if nothing else, we might need to iron out some details about it with your help. So look forward to that. So what else? I have also had a little bit of a hard time writing the last bit of Niam's part because he's supposed to be doing a bit of research and he's in archives, and I think that's really interesting, but I don't know if anyone else thinks it's really interesting, and above all, I'm not entirely certain that it comes across what he is researching and why and how it connects to the story. I feel like that's a little bit flimsy at the moment. Like, what does he discover? And why does he need to discover that? And how is it going to further the plot? Right now, I'm not really sure. And that's, yeah, it's a bit problematic. Another thing that I have completely, but I have mostly failed to include is that So the ruler has people who are trying to kill Lyd and Niam because the ruler doesn't want them to be to manage this quest and be able to challenge him. And we have not, or I have not written a whole lot of those people actually chasing Niam. I think he's had like a couple of run-ins with them, but he has gotten away from that way too easily, which is problematic because I don't want the bad guys to be incompetent. And at the moment, it kind of feels like they are. So that is something that I'm gonna need to fix and to make sure that it's an actual challenge, that there is someone after him. I'm gonna fix that when I write like the second draft of my part, but it's something that I know I've sort of failed to include. So where am I at? I have basically written all the way until Niam arrives at the electricity challenge. I've jumped around a bit, and there are some holes, and there are some things that I need to change, but that is not for now. I am hoping before Saturday that I'm gonna read through what I've written, just not in detail, but sort of skim it, because I'm sure there are things that I need help with that I have just skipped and for some reason not written down. Because that's a thing that I do, or don't do, or yeah, anyway. The point is that we are basically done with the first part now, since the first part sort of ends at the electricity trial instead of the water trial now, because the first part ends when they meet, and that's a cat. He's having fun. So the plan now is that we are going to read through our own bits, not the thing that I'm going to do before Saturday, but properly read it through, and then edit it and basically turn it into a second draft of the first parts. And then we are going to swap, read each other's, and then we are going to continue and write the second part. We still, however, do want to plot the second part before we properly read through our first parts. You having fun? You want to sit with me? Come here. Where was I? We want to plot. Yes, we want to plot the second part of the story before we really read through and change the first parts, because that way we can change and foreshadow things that are going to be relevant. The problem is that the last stream we had was kind of long, and we got kind of tired, and we didn't really even have time to read or to do all of the things that we wanted to do in that stream. And so, since we're going to both talk about some problems and things, and also plot a little bit, we are figuring that Saturday's stream is not really going to be enough for that, which is why we are planning a second stream the Saturday after noon UTC on my channel to do more plotting. So I hope that you guys are going to be able to be there for that, because yeah, we need your help. First though, this Saturday, noon UTC on Matilda's channel. It is linked down below, so I hope to see you there.